I recently discovered 11 Reader because a fun fact about me that a lot of people don't know is that I have a reading disability. I have always struggled with reading and concentration. And when it comes to things like PDFs or things that I really need to focus on, 11 Reader has really come in handy.
The fact that I can upload my own content, I have so many business memos I have to read every day.
And then it reads it to you, and you get to choose the voice that reads it to you. You get to have a British accent reading those documents to you.
And I just retain so much more.
I really love the voices. Having a British accent whisper sweet nothings about legal documents to me keeps me going.
Start free with 10 hours of your own content per month. And that's essentially a 400-page book turned into audio for free.
Upgrade to Ultra for $11 a month and unlock unlimited uploads plus 20 hours of premium audiobooks every month. No credits, no commitments. It's really the ultimate listening app when you can't get enough. Being able to retain information is really hard for me when I'm reading certain difficult documents. And I really can't emphasize enough to you guys how much 11 Reader has helped me review so many things for the podcast.
Whether you're writing your own book, you have a lot of documents to go through, or you want to listen to audiobooks, choose 11 Reader and use promo code podcast to get your first 2 months for only $1.
Heat up your 4th of July at the Home Depot with our wide variety of grills under $300 and make every gathering one to remember. Give your outdoor space a glow up, whatever your budget is, with savings on seasonal plants starting at $5. With the grill fired up and your backyard set to perfection, you'll be able to invite friends and family over to kick off the party. Start celebrating with low prices guaranteed at the Home Depot. Prices may vary by store. Exclusions apply. See homedepot.com/price match for details.
So good, so good, so good.
New summer arrivals are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. Get ready to save big with up to 60% off brands like Rag & Bone, Levi's, Adidas, and Free People. Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you Rack.
Welcome to Academia Unlocked, a special series from BookTok for BookTok, where we take one classic work and explore it through 3 episodes, moving from understanding the text to deep analysis, and finally to cultural interpretation.
This is Jack.
And I'm Amy.
Between us, we have over 13 years of academic literary training, bachelor's degrees in creative writing, as well as master's degrees. We've built this series to bring the depth we've learned in our training into a space that feels like a conversation anyone can participate in.
Each book gets 3 episodes, and they build on top of each other. We start with literary literacy, reading the work the way you would in a high school AP English class, close and careful. Episode 2 is our advanced analysis, where we shift into a college-level seminar lens. And finally, in a normal situation, we would have episode 3, where we look at the book and media, adaptations, cultural legacy, and how it translates beyond the page. In the case of House on Mango Street, which is our book of today, we will be doing 2 episodes.
Mainly because there's not a movie. Not that I could find. There's an opera and many plays.
And that's probably why we picked it.
Yeah.
But you know what? We wanted to keep it anyway because it is among many banned books that deserve some attention.
It's part of the banned baddie crew. So what does it mean to leave a place, to leave a home, and carry it with you forever anyway?
And what does it mean to grow up somewhere that the world tells you is not enough? And then, you know what? Decide, I'm going to write about it anyway.
In 1984, Sandra Cisneros published a book that doesn't look like a novel. It doesn't have chapters in the traditional sense. It has vignettes, these small, crystalline pieces of prose that each read almost like a poem. And together they make something devastating and beautiful and completely unlike anything else you might see in American literary canon.
Book, as I mentioned, is The House on Mango Street. And the girl or protagonist at the center of it all is named Esperanza. And she, more than almost anything else, wants a house of her own.
Before we get into the story, we need to talk about who Sandra is and why this book exists, because The House on Mango Street is one of those novels that couldn't have been written by anyone else in any other moment.
Sandra grew up in Chicago and was the only daughter in a Mexican-American family with 6 brothers. Her family moved frequently between Chicago and Mexico City. She's talked about feeling like she never fully belonged in either place. Too American in Mexico and too Mexican in America. Totally understand that from my own upbringing.
Same.
And in both places, too female to be fully seen.
She wrote a version of this book while she was a student at Iowa's Writers' Workshop, which is basically one of the most prestigious creative writing programs in the country. I remember there was a time where I was debating getting my MFA there.
Yeah, same.
I did not. Yeah, I did not. And supposedly, allegedly, as according to online, as the story goes, she was sitting in a seminar where her classmates were discussing Gaston Bachelard's The Poem of Space. It's a philosophical text about the meaning of the house, the home, the basement, the attic. Then, according to Sandra, she felt completely out of place.
Because the house they were talking about in Bachelard's The Poetics of Space is a site of memory and comfort and identity. But that house was not her house. It wasn't the basement apartment. It wasn't the house that made her ashamed to say, this is where I live. And there was a huge gap between the house in the books she was reading in school versus the house she actually knew, the one where Mango Street comes from.
That origin matters because it tells you exactly what this book is doing. It's corrective. It's Sandra saying, here is a house that wasn't in literature. Here is a girl who wasn't in the literature, and I am going to put her there.
Some additional history for our collective awareness. The House on Mango Street was first published in 1984 by Arte
Público Press.
Thank you. A small press dedicated to Latino literature. And for that reason, the book was not an immediate mainstream success. It grew slowly by word of mouth and through academic adoption.
It just translates to public art press. Sandra is a Chicana writer, meaning Mexican American, with roots in both the U.S. and Mexico. And this dual identity is central to everything in this novel.
As Jacques mentioned earlier, the book is structured as vignettes, not traditional chapters. There are about 44 of them, most of them only a page or 2 long, each of them with a little title, at least in the audiobook version.
Yeah.
And that's a deliberate formal choice that we'll talk more about in episode 2.
It's also widely taught in American high schools and universities. And even I've heard some people say in their elementary school or junior high, which I was kind of surprised about.
Yeah, seriously.
It is considered, though, a foundational text of Chicana literature and the broader American literary canon.
Sandra grew up to become one of the most important voices in American literature. She has since written Women Hollering Creek, Caramello, and poetry collections. But Mango Street remains the work that she is most associated with.
Did you ever read this before this? Oh, really? I read this forever ago, I think in college, and it's just one of those that's always really stuck with me.
Yeah, I can see why.
It hits. I think it hits for everyone, and it hits in a particularly sentimental place for me. And I can't wait for later to talk about my perusal of TikTok and the number of white women who said that it was very meh to them and they didn't understand the hype. It doesn't have to blow your mind, but you can also recognize that it's not for you. Now, where are we specifically in this story? The setting in this novel is not a backdrop. It is the entire engine of the story, because the book is about what it means to belong in a place and what it means when the place you belong to is one the world looks down on.
Now, the setting of House on Mango Street is a Latino neighborhood in Chicago. We're not really given a specific address beyond Mango Street itself, but Sandra has confirmed it's drawn from her childhood in Humboldt Park and Wicker Park, neighborhoods that were, in the 60s and 70s, working-class Puerto Rican and Mexican American communities.
And Esperanza's relationship to this neighborhood is genuinely complicated. She loves the people in it, she is shaped by the people and the setting and everything about it. And she also knows from very early in the book that she doesn't want to be trapped in it the way she watches women around her get trapped.
Yeah, I have feelings about that we'll discuss eventually. The neighborhood functions almost like its own character. It has a pulse. It has specific sights and sounds and smells. And there are the neighbors whose names Esperanza learns one by one, the rooftops and window ledges, and the parties drifting out of apartments.
Real fast, the setting, the neighborhood where my early years, where I grew up, I'm half Chilean, and the amount of times that I have driven with friends through predominantly Latin working class neighborhoods, and the people that I'm in the car with suddenly feel uncomfortable and want to lock the door. I mean, I lock the door before I leave the house in general, but like there's a visual shift in their level of comfort, or they don't want to walk in the neighborhood. And for me, it just feels like home. It says a lot. But that's because the neighborhood is defined by its relationship to poverty. The houses are small and crowded. The streets are not the streets of prosperity. And Esperanza is acutely aware of what outsiders see when they look at where she lives.
Sandra, though, refuses to make the neighborhood only a site of lack. It's also rich with community, with the texture of daily life, with the particular beauty of a world that has quite frankly built itself with limited resources.
The novel opens with Esperanza describing all the houses her family has lived in and how she's been ashamed of all of them. And then they move to Mango Street, which was supposed to be better. It was supposed to be the house of her dreams, and yet it is not.
It is supposed to be a house with stairs. And while it does have stairs, it's not, because she lives in multiple floors of the house. It just happens to be the hallway stairs.
Yeah. A brief narrative pause. Stay with us.
One of the first things I do when I move was I needed to get new sheets. I needed that restart in my bedroom. And that's why I go to Boll and Branch, for their variety and their quality.
Boll and Branch not only has your sheets, but they have everything you need. They have their signature satin sheets, breathable pillows, cozy waffle bed blankets, and beautifully crafted comforter, all designed to work together for comfort and temperature regulation. I always start the night off freezing, then I get hot, and then I get cold again. But ever since I've switched to Boll and Branch, I have been so comfortable every single night.
When Jack and I recently went to New York, I put my Boll and Branch sheets on the bed so that when our friends who watched our cats came over, they could lay in those sheets. And I got so many compliments about the quality and the breathability of the fabric. They definitely asked me where I got them.
I get complimented every single time I have a meeting for work and you can see my bed in the background, and everyone always says how pretty it is, how stylish my room looks. I am not a stylish person, and yet Boll and Branch is making me look like I have my life together.
What's even better is that their signature organic cotton sheets get softer the more you wash them.
It makes me excited for laundry day. Upgrade your sleep with Boll and Branch. Get 15% off your first order plus free shipping at bollandbranch.com/BookTok with code BookTok.
That's Boll and Branch, BOLLAND, branch.com/BookTalk, BOOKTALK, and use code BookTalk to unlock 15% off. Exclusions apply. The house on Mango Street is real and specific, and in ways not enough. It has a small yard. It has windows so small they look like they're holding their breath. I love her descriptions, by the way.
Oh my God, they hit.
They are so poetic.
Gorgeous.
And Esperanza cannot say, yes, this is my house. You know, come and look. She does not feel pride. She feels shame.
The house she imagines, the house that she wants, is not just a building. It represents autonomy. It's a room for her own. It's the ability to be exactly who she is without apology. For her, that's what a house means.
And then there's the question of leaving, which we did talk about when we opened this episode. One of the central tensions of the whole book is, can you leave a place like this where you were brought up and not betray it at the same time? Can you go out into the world and build something different and still love where you came from?
That question doesn't get easily resolved. And arguably, I don't think it gets resolved at all, which is part of what makes the ending so powerful. Again, I very, very much relate to this. Now, let's go a little bit into the plot overview and what actually happens. Again, it's a bunch of vignettes. So here's the thing about summarizing the house on Mango Street. It really resists summary in the best way possible. This isn't a 3-act plot. There isn't a central conflict that builds to a climax and resolution in the traditional sense. Instead, what we have is a year in a life. It's Esperanza's early adolescence, rendered in small, precise moments.
Think of the house on Mango Street less like a traditional plot and more like a mosaic or a stained glass window. Each vignette, each little story is a tile in that mosaic or a shard of glass. Individually, each of those tells you something true and specific about that moment. But when you take a step back and look at all of it together, it creates one big picture.
Now, that said, there are still arcs. There are threads that run throughout the book and accumulate meaning. So let's walk through that.
All right. So I'll start with arc 1. Arriving and naming. The book opens with Esperanza explaining the history of her name. It means hope in Spanish and sadness in English, she says. She was named after her great-grandmother who came from Mexico and spent her whole life looking out a window at what she couldn't reach. Esperanza, I think like any young girl, does not want that same fate. And in this first vignette, right at the start, tells us, the reader, everything about the book's central question. Will Esperanza be like the women who came before her, or will she find a way out? Or not even a way out, but a different way. The family moves then to Mango Street, which is how she says it. I realize I've been saying mango. She says mango, but
It's just
she's
for an
Spanish.
accent. Yeah.
Yeah. But I keep hearing her because she narrates her book.
Another fantastic author reading their fantastic book.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. And she says Mongo. So that's what I hear in my head when I think of this book. The house on Mango Street is her family's, which is all great, but it's not the house that was promised to Esperanza. Esperanza also meets her neighbors. Kathy, who will only be her friend briefly before her family moves to escape the quote-unquote changing neighborhood. Lucy and Rachel, 2 sisters who become her real friends, and the community of women who will each, in different ways, show her a version of life.
Arc 2, it's girlhood and its dangers. A significant thread running through the middle of the book is the experience of becoming a young woman in a world that is not safe for young women. Several vignettes deal directly with the danger that comes with female adolescence. Quote, the family of little feet, that's one of the vignettes where the girls are given high heels and discover how quickly adult men's attention turns threatening. Then we have the vignette Red Clowns, which depicts sexual assault. Sire, in which Esperanza is watched by an older boy in a way that is exciting and frightening at once. Early days, 10 years old, being taught. Sometimes you can't talk back to a guy when they catcall you because you don't know if they're going to hurt you. Sandra does not flinch from any of this. She writes these experiences from inside Esperanza's consciousness, the confession, the desire, the fear, the shame, and refuses to clean them all up. This is one of the reasons the book gets challenged in schools. It's unflinching about what girls actually experience, which means, of course, they're going to ban it because it's honest.
It's honest. The amount of older men who try to kiss these children, it's like, it's not exaggerated. Like, I understand. I've seen it for myself. I've experienced it myself growing up. It is uncomfortable when you read it.
And especially when she doesn't know what's happening or what it means. And we, the reader, do.
Arc 3 is the women of Mango Street. Now, threaded throughout the novel are portraits of different women whose lives serve as warnings and as models to Esperanza. I'll go through a few of them. Marin is a cousin staying with a nearby family who waits on the front steps, hoping to be seen by men who might take her somewhere better. She's glamorous and pragmatic and a little heartbreaking. And I think her story hurt me the most. Of the one who's trying to catch attention and just hope, like, dreaming of that better life.
Just to leave.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. Knowing that that's her one commodity that she can offer.
Yeah. Alicia, one of the few women Esperanza admires without reservation, she takes the bus to the university before dawn, studies, refuses to accept that the life she was born into is the only life available to her. There is also Rafaela, who is locked in her apartment by a husband who's afraid she's going to run away because she's too beautiful. She lowers $1 on a string from her window to buy coconut and papaya juice. Rafaela, like, that's another hard one. I think, wasn't she also like a child?
I think
bride?
it was like she found a place to get married.
I think she was 14.
Yeah, before high school or before 8th grade. Yeah.
But then she's locked up by her husband and just stares at the ceiling all day. Ugh. There's Sally, who's Esperanza's complicated friend. She's beautiful, courted by older men, eventually married very young to escape her father, and then trapped in a different cage. I may have just got confused Rafaela and Sally.
No, because I think there was someone else who did get married before 8th
There was
grade,
a lot of young marriage.
There was a lot of young marriage.
And then there's also Esperanza's mother, who is loving and intelligent, and who tells her daughter she could have been someone, as in the mother could have been someone. But she quit school because she was ashamed of the clothes she wore. And Esperanza hears this both as a warning and as a kind of grief.
It's sad because you want the mom to inspire her daughter, but that's also putting a lot on your child. These women are not background characters. Each of them is a fully realized human being, and Sandra places them in Esperanza's path deliberately. As the novel's argument about what happens to women who don't leave, who can't leave, or who leave only to be retrapped. It made me think of, like, in the foreword, I want to go back and listen to it when she was like, how's Sally doing? And I forgot that, like, she's listing off some of the characters. And now I'm thinking about it and it's making me emotional.
Yeah. And I think what's the most heartbreaking is do the only things they know how to do to leave.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what
traps
them again.
Yeah.
Which is so sad.
Then we get into Arc 4, Writing and the Self. One of the quieter but most important threads of the novel is Esperanza's relationship to words. She is a writer herself. She finds power in language when she has little power anywhere else. Her Aunt Guadalupe, dying of a degenerative disease, tells Esperanza, quote, "You just remember to keep writing, Esperanza. You must keep writing. You will feel..." Why am I emotional? "It will keep you free." I don't know why that made me emotional. It made me think of my grandma. This whole thing is very close to home. Anyway, this is a pivotal moment. The book becomes, in part, about the act of writing as survival, and in many ways, I feel like defiant too. The final vignette brings this together. Esperanza understands she will leave Mango Street, but she also understands that she will come back. Not in person, maybe not necessarily, but in words, for the ones that she can't leave. Oh.
Plot twist, it's an ad break. I always forget how long summer is in California, and all of my work clothes are geared towards fall/winter. I need more summer-appropriate staples.
I'm going to be going to Portugal at the end of this summer, and I need Quince to help me with summer vacation clothes because they have literally everything.
They make elevated essentials using premium materials like European linen, organic cotton, and washable silk, which is my personal favorite, without the traditional retail markup.
They also have amazing shoes. I got their ballerina Mary Jane flats in brown, and I will be walking Portugal in that the entire time. They are so comfortable.
I also recently discovered that they have really fabulous 14-karat gold jewelry. Everything is subtle, delicate, and just classy. Everything at Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands because they work with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen. So you're paying for exceptional quality, not brand markup.
Quince has everything you need, from apparel to home to bedding to bath and all of the kitchen essentials and furniture. Make your summer wardrobe feel easier.
Go to quince.com/booktalk for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too.
That's QUINCE.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, for free shipping and 365-day returns.
Quince.com/booktalk. And then there is Arc 5, the leaving and the returning. The book, House on Mango Street, closes with Esperanza understanding that her freedom, her own house, her own life, will require leaving her family and the places where she grew up. And I loved this moment. There are 3 women in the neighborhood who've already told her this in different ways, that she will come back. Quote, when you leave, you must remember to come back for the others. A circle, you understand. You will always be Mango Street. You can't erase what you know. You can't forget who you are. The final vignette, titled Mango Says Goodbye Sometimes, ends with Esperanza writing the story of Mango Street, which is to say, we realize we've been reading the act of returning all along. The book itself is the return.
I'm like mad that no one's crying, but also there's only the 2 of us. So I don't know why. I'm like, why is no one else like absolutely ripped to shreds by this book?
I've got chills. I've got goosebumps. I mean, for me, it makes me think of my dad because he came from poverty in Hong Kong. He spent 18 years in a 300 square foot apartment with his parents that I went back and visited for many, many years until my grandmother died. And my dad was finally wealthy enough to buy his father a new place. But every time I go to Hong Kong, my dad takes me back there.
Yeah.
And makes me see like this little corner of Hong Kong where the most poor of them live and reminds us like this is where we came from.
Yeah. I mean, when I go to Chile and see where my grandpa went to, was like 9 years old cleaning graves and didn't have shoes. Like, I mean, like many listeners, I'm sure, will understand that feeling of the generations before us who went through it and what it means for them to return and for us to return. I'm going to take a sip. Everyone take a sip. Okay. At an AP English level, we're identifying the big thematic threads running through the book. What is this novel actually about beneath the plot?
Now, the book looks deceptively simple. It's short. The sentences are, you might call, clean. And it's often assigned to middle schoolers, which baffles my mind. I get it from a reading comprehension level.
I think I'm like, let's fuck them up. Like, they need to learn.
I mean, it's not a simple book. When I finished it, I was like, I would not let my 12-year-old read this. Maybe my 14-year-old, but not my 12-year-old.
I think I would let my 12-year-old read it and just be like, hey, it's time for you to learn devastation.
I think the simplicity is its power, though, because it is precise and it is powerful in that precision. So let's talk about certain themes outside of the arcs that we just described. So among the themes we identified include, of course, home and belonging. That is the central tension of the novel. And for Esperanza, it's complicated. She loves this place and needs to escape. Home isn't just the building she lives in, it's identity, it's pride, it's shame, and it's inheritance, both of the physical nature and the generational trauma nature. There is then, as we've already kind of alluded to, the idea of female entrapment and freedom. Many of the women of Mango Street are repeatedly shown as trapped, either by husbands, by poverty, by beauty, or by the expectations of their culture. Esperanza watches this and names it, and the novel argues that naming the trap is the first act of escape. And then there's the power of language. Writing and storytelling are explicitly presented as forms of freedom. Esperanza's voice, the very prose that we're reading in the book, is her act of resistance and her path out.
We also have the theme of identity and inheritance. Esperanza is Mexican-American, female, poor, and young. And the novel asks, which of these things do you have to carry and which can you put down? Her great-grandmother's name, her neighborhood, her mother's regret. What does she inherit? And what does she choose? And finally, we have community versus individualism. The book holds a real tension between Esperanza's desire to leave and her responsibility to the community she came from. Freedom is not clean. You don't get to leave and not look back, at least not if you're Esperanza or a lot of other people.
So before we wrap up, since this is our high school level discussion, what were some of the most powerful vignettes for you that stood out, and for what reason?
I mean, how could you not think, Sally, you lied?
And the red clowns. Yeah.
Yeah. Sally, you lied. That is when Esperanza is assaulted by a group of white boys, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think from what I remember, it's like Sally probably made sex or, flirtation sound good, probably made it seem fun. Boys seem fun reading that part. And just the innocence of it, you can tell that those are inner thoughts that probably she had in the moment. That part wrecked me. And then I wonder if you picked, I want to ask you the same question, but I also want to ask you this other question. I felt like reading it this time. For the first time, I felt like maybe there was a bit more queer elements with Esperanza. I kind of read her as bi in this book. Just the way that she talked about the boys, but then she also talked about Sally too.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because Sally is the one character I got the feeling of Esperanza might be queer, but it didn't feel consistent enough for me to be definitive about that.
Yeah.
But there was definitely an aversion to boys. I mean, there's one boy in a different vignette that she seems to be attracted to, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in general, what most stood out to me, especially in Red Clowns, was just how young this character is and how ill-prepared.
Yeah.
And how much this isn't what they wanted.
Yeah. I think what this highlights, this being House on Mango Street and just all these vignettes, is how weird the age of 12 is, where you are still a child. You are still, to me, you're still a child until you're 25. But really, you are still a kid. You are playing with dolls. You are going from, can I go play at my friend's house to can I go hang out at my friend's house, right? You're having to learn different languages. And it's also a time period where the world is going to start viewing you differently, whether it's because you are now looking older than your age or you're starting to no longer have that, absolute childlike glow. And you can age and the world can age you or sexualize you or, make you an adult in a way that you, the child, are not ready for.
Yeah.
Whew. Teeny pause, big feelings, short break.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
Do you hear that? Sounds like breakfast is ready. Because Quaker's coming in hot with morning nutrition. 100% whole grain oats and a good source of fiber to fuel the rhythm of your morning and kickstart your day. And that sounds absolutely delicious. Fuel to start whatever's next. Quaker, official sponsor of FIFA World Cup 26.
There were so many small instances of that sexualization.
Yeah.
And seen through a young person's eyes, you understand the terror, even though the terror is not always explicitly stated.
Yeah.
Sandra does such a good job at that, especially with the high heels, the little feet one, of how they're all so excited and they love the attention. And then the older men start asking for kisses.
Yeah.
There was another vignette where an old man asks for a kiss and she goes to kiss him on the cheek and he grabs her face.
It's his birthday. It was her job.
Oh, yeah, it's her job. The first time she goes to work. Reminds me why men suck.
It's a way of showing that girls don't get to explore girlhood or womanhood, right? You go from girlhood and you are expected to throw yourself into womanhood. There's no, I want to experiment with high heels in a safe place. I want to experiment with makeup in a safe place. And what is a safe place? A safe place is not being sexualized. I think that a safe place is a space where these young girls get to figure out what they want to be as a woman. And it's also defining that you don't get to choose what kind of woman you are. This is now so depressing. I don't think any woman has ever gotten the choice to decide what kind of woman they are because we have been so utterly shaped by the way that men have treated us leading to this point. I think we fight and get to a point where we are happy to be who we are. But, I was a triple D cup by the time I was 12. I didn't get a choice to be sexualized so young, and have such a bad relationship with my boobs and got a breast reduction at 18. And I'm happy with who I am now, but it's like, an uphill battle, and women's identity is stripped away from the get-go. And that's why they want to ban it, Like, I was looking at some of the reasons why it was banned, and it was saying explicit sexual discussions. And I'm like, actually, it's
Nothing about this is explicit.
Nothing. Not a damn thing is explicit. I think that one of the few times that we get mentions of white characters, they're the ones hurting.
Yeah, they're the ones assaulting the child.
And it's like, of course, they're going to be like all in a tizzy with that. Another reason is that they don't like how race is discussed and handled. And it's like, again, there's never moments of this is happening to Esperanza because she's Mexican American. We can infer that, but I think as a child reading it, they aren't picking that up.
Yeah, especially since the white boys are saying, I love you, Spanish girl, right? A child isn't going to understand what's going on. Regardless, what stood out to me is that the community is varied and that there wasn't issues of race amongst that community. It was when outsiders came into the community, right?
Yeah.
Or left the community.
Yeah. And I think that Sandra making a choice, because even within Latin communities and a lot of other communities, there's, colorism. I am treated very differently because I am very, very white and fair. And yeah, like this idea of Esperanza not fitting in one place or the other is so sad, because this is the community that knows her best. And yet she knows that she doesn't fit in it at all.
Which is super, super sad. One of the other there's so many that made me sad, but one of them that really, really hit for me was when Esperanza wants to eat in the cafeteria and wants to be able to get up, and not come home for lunch, but to eat in the canteen with everybody else. And the nun of her Catholic school shames her. Yeah. She's like, your house isn't that far. You can go home. And she worked so hard to convince her mom, and now she gets the things she wants, and she's so miserable, and she's just crying the whole time as she eats her lunch.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't the way it was supposed to be.
And that's life, right? Is that the things that you want, it's never how it's supposed to be. Because I think the house on Mango Street is a great example of when you're defining the things you want based off of other people's desires, it will never be what you want it to be.
Or what other people have.
I think that's why she was never happy with her house. Until you know what your own desire is, you're not going to be happy. Or if you're someone who's never happy with anything you get, whether it's something that you want or worked for and you get it and it just doesn't bring you joy, we are not the therapy to handle that. But there is something.
I think one of the other things that made me so sad is how well Sandra ties imagery to this idea of being sold a bill of lies. So one of the women who is married young, has a great apartment with shiny appliances, but is locked inside by her husband, and she can never leave, and her friends can never come over. The ending image is her like staring at the ceiling that is as white and smooth as a wedding cake. And this idea that like, I got everything I wanted, marriage was supposed to save me, and yet somehow all I'm doing is staring at my ceiling that looks like my wedding cake. And that's all I have. It's awful.
It's awful.
She does it so well.
Talk about the prose. Just on the most like basic sense of the written word, she is a master of it. And I think you and I have talked about it in other podcast series, but some of the most effective prose writing is the most simplistic. And I think that a lot of writers and even people I see online who, talk to their audience, and you can tell there's a lot of control, right? Look at synonyms and see what other words they can put in there. And in a world where that's happening and people may not understand the English language entirely, I think this is a reminder that you don't need these grand, fancy words to make the most devastating points.
Yeah. I cannot tell you how many times I've read the word undulating since starting to read Romantasy that I'd never read before.
Yeah.
And quite frankly,
we don't need it.
We don't need it. There simple images, simple use of the language can be the most powerful. And in this case, it is.
It's one of those things we keep talking about, like, this book is such a bummer, this book is so sad, but
you have to read it.
yeah, I didn't feel sad ending it. I didn't walk away from this book thinking, this was a bummer. I don't want anything to do with it. And there's been books where I'm like, this is just too sad. Happy to leave. That's not House on Mango Street for me. The ending and the realization that this is Esperanza, coming back, and this is her, in many ways, a confirmation that she did live her dream and she achieved her goals, is a happy ending to me. Like, it's her having the strength of hindsight and being able to, I don't know, like, just look on things both honestly, but not with regret, because I think that this book was not written from a point of view of regret from Esperanza.
Yeah, I agree. It's honoring something about her upbringing that maybe in other people's eyes doesn't deserve honor, but it is what shaped her.
Yeah.
And she would not be who she is without those experiences. And sometimes you do have to spend the time to be appreciative of where you've come from.
Here's what I, or maybe both of us, would like you to take away from this episode. The House on Mango Street is a coming of age story, the way that The Catcher in the Rye is a coming of age story, technically. Trust me on that one. But what Sandra actually wrote is something more specific, more radical than that comparison even suggests.
Sandra wrote a book about a girl who was not and is not supposed to exist in American literature, not at the center of it and not as a subject worthy of serious literary attention. I imagine her Iowa Writers Workshop instructors didn't like the idea of this. As someone who knows someone whose fiance went to Iowa's Writers Workshop, they're so up their own ass about their reputation.
Oof.
And they make you harvest your trauma to tell your story. And yet, despite anything she's ever been told, Sandra put Esperanza there in the limelight, in 44 vignettes, in prose that reads like poetry without ever losing its grip on the physical, the specific, and the real.
What I just keep coming back to is that ending. Esperanza doesn't just leave Mango Street. She writes Mango Street. And in doing so, she does both things at once. She escapes it and she returns. The book is the return.
This book is her testimony. It's her telling her story. Sometimes people tell their story to be understood, and sometimes they tell it to free themselves. And I'm going to guess, maybe in this case, it's a little bit of both. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, you tell the story to free somebody else.
Esperanza, yes, we're talking about Esperanza, the character, this way, but Esperanza wrote this for the ones who couldn't get out. And Sandra wrote it for the same reason.
In next week's episode, we're going to go deeper. We're going to talk about the vignette form and what it's doing formally, about Chicana feminism as a literary lens, and what it means that this book is so often taught and so often misread.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Academia Unlocked with BookTok for BookTok with Jack and Amy.
If you're enjoying this show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps other readers find us. And of course, we'd love to hear what you thought of today's episode. Share your comments through our form at booktalkforbooktalk.com, and we might feature your feedback in a future mini episode or a Patreon exclusive episode.
For merch and more ways to support the show, head to booktalkforbooktalk.com. You can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at the handle BookTok for BookTok. Bye.
Bye. One of the first things I do when I move was I needed to get new sheets. I needed that restart in my bedroom. And that's why I go to Boll & Branch for their variety and their quality.
Boll & Branch not only has your sheets, but they have everything you need. They have their signature satin sheets, breathable pillows, cozy waffle bed blankets, and beautifully crafted comforter, all designed to work together for comfort and temperature regulation. I always start the night off freezing, then I get hot, and then I get cold again. But ever since I've switched to Boll & Branch, I have been so comfortable every single night.
When Jack and I recently went to New York, I put my Boll & Branch sheets on the bed so that when our friends who watched our cats came over, they could lay in those sheets. And I got so many compliments about the quality and the breathability of the fabric. They definitely asked me where I got them.
I get complimented every single time I have a meeting for work and you can see my bed in the background, and everyone always says how pretty it is, how stylish my room looks. I am not a stylish person, and yet Boll & Branch is making me look like I have my life together.
What's even better is that their signature organic cotton sheets get softer the more you wash them.
It makes me excited for laundry day. Upgrade your sleep with Boll & Branch. Get 15% off your first order plus free shipping at bollandbranch.com/BookTok with code BookTok.
That's Boll & Branch, BOLLAND, branch.com/BookTalk, BOOKTALK, and use code BookTalk to unlock 15% off. Exclusions apply. I always forget how long summer is in California, and all of my work clothes are geared towards fall, winter. I need more summer appropriate staples.
I'm going to be going to Portugal at the end of the summer, and I need Quince to help me with summer vacation clothes because they have literally everything.
They make elevated essentials using premium materials like European linen, organic cotton, and washable silk, which is my personal favorite, without the traditional retail markup.
They also have amazing shoes. I got their ballerina Mary Jane flats in brown, and I will be walking Portugal in that the entire time. They are so comfortable.
I also recently discovered that they have really fabulous 14 karat gold jewelry. Everything is subtle, delicate, and just classy. Everything at Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands because they work with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen. So you're paying for exceptional quality, not brand markup.
Quince has everything you need, from apparel to home to bedding to bath and all of the kitchen essentials and furniture. Make your summer wardrobe feel easier.
Go to quince.com/booktalk for free shipping on your order and 365 days returns. Now available in Canada too.
That's QUINCE.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, for free shipping and 365-day returns.
Quince.com/booktalk.
You want to get your backyard summer ready, but you don't want to break the bank? Wayfair gets it. Planning on dining al fresco or relaxing poolside? Wayfair has everything you need to prep your space. Shop now and save up to 70% off during Wayfair's 4th of July clearance. Score huge deals on outdoor furniture, area rugs, and more. We're talking thousands of products for every style and budget. Plus, surprise flash deals July 6th. Don't wait. Shop Wayfair's 4th of July clearance now through July 6th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Uncovered windows can make your home feel up to 20 degrees hotter. Stay cool and save up to 50% off custom window treatments during the 4th of July mega sale at Blinds.com. From outdoor shades to room darkening blinds, finding the perfect fit is easy. Get free samples, expert design help, and professional measure and install services. Or DIY with confidence and support every step of the way. Shop up to 50% off site-wide, plus huge savings on doorbusters right now during the 4th of July mega sale at Blinds.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of busy. To a restaurant, all that shouting and banging might as well be a symphony. It means the long days and longer nights are paying off. Sure, it's noisy, but there's a worse sound. This, not busy. Busy means business, which is why Toast gives restaurants the tools and tech they need to help them perform under pressure. Sounds pretty good, right? Toast, built for busy.